Come on, bitch, let's go. Come on, get ready, bitches. You haven't seen nothing yet. Come on.
Valentino, Versace, Lamborghini, Bugatti. I got money to burn. I'm single and I'm naughty.
Come on.
Tiffany's, Cartier, Gucci, Armani.
Come on.
Break out your black card, boys. It's time to party.
Oh my God, you guys, Sorrento is so beautiful. Sorrento is like I don't know what you would call it, a township, a city or whatever within the Naples area or location. And the way you get to it is by ferry from Naples. You can also take a ferry from, other locations too and get there. You can, in fact, also take a train. If you keep going from Rome through Pompeii and you just keep going in that direction, you'll hit Sorrento. A lot of people think you can only get to Sorrento by ferry, but you can also use the train. A lot of people get Sorrento and Salerno confused, but they're different. Now, Sorrento is just amazing in July, and I really think you guys need to come down and check it out if you haven't. It's very affordable. It's actually way cheaper than Rome, believe it or not. Amazing shopping. I'm not Rome level shopping, but really unique boutiques with stuff that's just great. Custom sandals, gorgeous fashion, beautiful dresses, bathing suits for busty women with loads of curves like me that have support in them. If you're got a smaller frame as a guy, you're going to finally find the clothes that fit you and are super dapper that you can't get in America. And of course, purses and porcelain and jewelry. Oh God, it's so fun. And you can get your VAT back on anything above €71 if you bother to do that process, which means you're buying tax-free. And if the goods are made in Italy, you're going to get them way cheaper than you get them in the US. That's why people from all over the world come to the US to shop, because they're trying to get deals on US goods that are like 3 times the price in their country. Well, the reverse is true for Italy. If you go to Italy, you can get things less expensive. And did I love the shopping. I'm not going to lie. I couldn't wait to shop. Oh, I've got one tip I want to give you guys before I get into the show today. There was a company in Rome that got me the best apartments in terms of like size and not dirty and like luxury furniture inside and nice showers and things that can be difficult to find in Rome, okay? Especially at a decent price point. And I wanted to tell you guys about this in case you go to Rome so you can book from them. They also manage apartments in Ibiza, Cortina, Sabaudia. I don't know where the hell that is, but they do. I only know the Rome stuff, though. I can't tell you about the other stuff, but I really like the owner, and they were great out of Rome. So it's irexapartment.com, www.irexapartment.com. And if you don't want to get an apartment through their website, they can sometimes do a better deal that way for you guys if you want to like wire the money and do it that way with them. But if you're not comfortable with that or you have to use a credit card, they also, if you reach out to them, can arrange it to be all done through booking.com for you. And, you might have to pay slightly more, but then you're it's all being done by their rules, etc. And you can pay in credit card, no problem. They're very, very nice. And you can communicate with them on WhatsApp really easily. So there's my tip. And it really is a real tip. They didn't pay me for this. I'm just telling you, I was really impressed. In fact, I'm going back to them to get my place in Rome for the last few days I'm there because I just couldn't top them in terms of all the research I did. So there it is, my big tip. I'll do a video maybe about some of my highlights in Rome just for fun. I don't know if any of you guys will watch it, but I will. And some of the things I bought that I found really special and took home. The thing you do here in Sorrento is you go to one of their famous beach clubs where the water's really beautiful and you can swim in it and lay out, and they bring you food and it's super relaxing. If you like to drink, you can have champagne brought over all day long in this ridiculous picturesque environment that like feels like you're living in a movie. You can also climb in Sorrento old first century AD ruins from Rome that have been abandoned, that now you can swim in the grotto. This is not, of course, the famous Capri grotto, but they have their own grotto. In fact, there's a legend that the Queen of Naples used to meet her lovers in the Sorrento grotto that they have. Her secret spot. God, there's a lot of those legends flying around about the grottos. But I mean, it's pretty amazing. Just like Capri, you're at airplane level looking out over a cliff with a straight drop down, and just all you see is beauty. And it's no wonder that people from all the way back in first century AD were coming to places like Capri and Sorrento after their political careers were done in Rome, after they had battled it out and survived by some miracle, because most people got killed by something or other. But they would go to these places and they were so beautiful. They would kind of retreat into their art and poetry and reading and writing. And so you really feel that energy when you come here. It's like you instantly want to decompress and kind of introspect. So if you need that, maybe don't pay $12,000 some odd dollars and go to the Golden Door. Pay half and go to Italy and visit Sorrento for a week, and you're going to get probably the same, if not more, out of it. Okay, with some good shopping. All right. So anyway, let's get into today's show. I want to talk about Denise Richards' divorce and Aaron Phypers. Now, the Patreons know I know a lot about Aaron Phypers, and intentionally I'm going to leave this part of the show free, and the reason is because I want to drag Aaron Phypers publicly. Because this guy, to me, is a loser, and he has a bit of a pattern with women. And it's like, maybe you should just get a real job at this point, Aaron Phypers. Now, to be fair, all Bravo fans have really disliked Aaron Phypers from his first appearance on the show when Denise Richards was a full-time cast member. Why was that? Well, there's a scene where Denise Richards seems to be like trying to get him out of an event because they're sort of attacking Aaron Phypers' way. They don't like him, the housewives that are on the show with Denise, and she's trying to get him out of the line of fire, and he does something really odd, which is he doesn't scream and shout at anyone or anything like that, but he does squeeze Denise Richards' hand really tight. And it's like a hot mic moment, and we see it, and it like rubs everybody wrong. Like it just seemed controlling and like aggressive, in a kind of worrying way, not like, a husband and wife like bickering or something over a really shitty thing going down. Like it was almost like a secret anger pinch or something. I don't know. That's what it came off as. And that was where the fans really started turning on Aaron. But even if you wanted to like Aaron, there were just some things that kept you from doing that. And I'm going to tell you some of those now before we even get into the divorce, which really sent me over the edge. I mean, there were a lot of things that sent me over the edge, but the divorce was, kind of the nail in the coffin for him. He had to have this show done about him publicly. So Nicollette Sheridan marries Aaron Phypers in December of 2015. She's obviously a famous actress. In fact, she's been rumored to have casted for Housewives, or they approached her to come on Housewives and she didn't, or they didn't like something about the casting. This was, of course, not during the time frame she's with Aaron Phypers, but their marriage lasts a very short period of time. So they start dating and then they get married in December of 2015 and they separate June 2016. And then for some weird reason, they end up in a lengthy divorce process that concludes in 2018. And right after their separation in 2016, Aaron jumps ship from Nicollette Sheridan to Denise Richards, another high-profile actress in this kind of circle, I guess, to a degree or another. And he starts dating Denise in September of 2017, okay? And they marry 1 year later on September 2018, just after he gets divorced from Sheridan. Now, what's weird about his divorce with Nicollette Sheridan is that supposedly it was this amicable thing. They both waived spousal support and all rights to it. Nicollette ends up getting her Hidden Hills home and her horse named Leo, clothing, jewelry, artwork, antiques, and other possessions in her name. And he gets his belongings back cars registered to him, and bank accounts in his name. But there is a weird caveat in this divorce, and that is he's ordered to turn over and delete any recordings, audio or visual, of Nicollette Sheridan in his possession, and not to release such materials to the media. So why the hell does Aaron Phypers have recordings that Nicollette Sheridan had to order him not to release? That's weird. And I really tried to research, did he get like a payout that maybe was one of the reasons that this weird caveat was in there? Like it was sort of like, if you don't do this, I'm going to drop all these audio files of you screaming at me or something like that, right? But I mean, I wonder, did he get a big payout for this? And there's no indicator he did, unless that had already been in his banking, meaning Nicollette put some sort of allowance in his bank accounts and he left with that allowance and she just left it at that. Now, I would say he was in a better financial situation leaving Nicollette anyway, because he maybe saved some money while he was with her. Like I said, she might have bought him some things. And then he jumps right into Denise Richards' world and gets her lifestyle upgrade because of course, she's making a lot of money. There were times, of course, that Charlie Sheen didn't pay his child support and she struggled, and she certainly has had ups and downs cash flow wise, but overall, Denise Richards is a pretty damn good earner. And so he ended up with her right after Nicollette Sheridan, or I should say at the same time, really. And remember, Denise Richards was the one who signed the lease on the wellness center, which is really his first brick and mortar business he's ever had. And that's on June 1st, 2018. And it's supposed to expire on February 28th, 2025. But he closes the business in October of 2024. Now, we've heard different things about this new age business that he had. We heard that, COVID caused it issues. We heard maybe there was some negative publicity because of housewives that caused this place issues. But ultimately, what really caused this place issues was a lawsuit I'm going to tell you about. Now, right simultaneously with Aaron deciding to shut down his clinic, which was called Quantum 360 Club, okay? Major lawsuit is filed by a gentleman by the name of Rupert Perry on November 13, 2024. And this is on behalf of his late wife's estate, Alina Katsiula Biel. Now, Rupert Perry alleges that Aaron defrauded his deceased wife, who was diagnosed with sarcoma in 2019, by promising that stem cell treatments at Quantum 360 Club would, quote, cure or at least ameliorate, end quote, her condition, claiming a 98% success rate. And Aaron allegedly offered a 50% refund of $63,000 of the whopping $126,000 he charged for this treatment if it failed. The treatment, conducted between July and September of 2023, was ineffective. And when they did an MRI in December of 2023, it showed a 25% growth in his wife's tumors. And she dies on May 21st of 2024. Now, this poor man reaches out to Aaron and requests his money back, the $63,000 Aaron promised him verbally in December of 2023, February 8th, 2024, March 7th, 2024, and March 29th, 2024. But Aaron ignores these requests and suggests further treatments. Now, of course, by, May, Aaron realizes he's in trouble because she's now died and he can't really offer further treatments. So Aaron acknowledges allegedly on a phone call to this gentleman that he does owe this guy the money, but that he can't pay it. And he makes a bunch of excuses as to why. Now, Aaron never responded to this lawsuit. And instead he said, listen, there were middlemen that were doing this stem cell procedure in my clinic, and they were just renting spaces out there. And so, I'm not responsible for their claims. They are. And that's what he's saying sort of, to the tabloids on this DL on the side. But that doesn't make sense because of what we saw on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Aaron Phypers touting all of these like new agey treatments that he's swearing by and he goes on tangents about, and he's very much the one pitching all this crap. In fact, that's the only thing we hear him talk about significantly on the season that Denise Richards is a housewife with Aaron Phypers, and they're like solid, not the one where she's like out the door. And also, if really that was what went down, then Aaron Phypers wouldn't have been the one to do the phone calls, someone else would have. Now, I had a friend of mine who ran into Aaron Phypers in Malibu, and he was still pitching this treatment stuff to her. And this was back in the summer of 2024. And she was like, it looks empty every time I drive by it on PCH. And I was like, I don't know. I wouldn't go mess around with that stuff because I said, he sounds like a Fruit Loop on the show to me. But I mean, he went on and on to her about it. I guess they were at one of the restaurants and they ran into each other and he was telling her about it, trying to get her to come in or whatever. Well, anyway, needless to say, the place is vacant now. So Denise Richards cleans it out and, gets rid of all the stuff in there and it's gone. But guess what? They can't serve Aaron Phypers, struggling to serve him. Maybe that's because Denise Richards keeps moving and also has multiple condos she's living in with her family for different purposes, which was really odd in its own right, as we saw on Denise Richards and her Wild Things. But this isn't the only big red flag, this lawsuit. There's more. But Denise Richards' daughter also said, or seemed to say, that Aaron Phypers was toxic to her mother.
If you're dating someone toxic, but you don't really know if they're toxic, like deep down you know, but you're like, is it that bad? Like, I can look past this. Well, he's so good to me some days, but then other days he treats me like shit. You need to ask yourself, if you had a daughter and she was dating a man like this, what would you tell her? And then boom, you're like, okay, I would tell her to break up with him, block him, move on. Like, he's a piece of shit, treats her like shit. And I don't know, that works for me because sometimes it's so easy for me to like overlook everything. But if I'm imagining having a kid and she's getting treated like this, absolutely the fuck not. I don't know if maybe it's just because I'm naturally like a very like motherly person and I really want to have kids, so this might not work for a lot of people who hate kids. Or just like imagine your friend in this situation, or your mom, or your sibling. Picturing someone else in your exact situation, and if they came to you being like, hey, my boyfriend is doing X, Y, and Z to me, I need your advice. You need to tell them what to do, and then there's your answer. And I understand more than anyone, it is so hard. It almost feels impossible sometimes to get out of a toxic relationship, and the judgment from people when you keep going back to that person, and it's a whole cycle. So I understand it's not easy, but this is just a tip to kind of help you have a clear head a little bit.
So I think that was aimed at Denise Richards. And I think that was Sammy basically saying you need to stay away from Aaron Phypers and not go back to him. Now, sources near Denise Richards were leaking information to the tabloids that Aaron Phypers and her had a massive fight before Aaron left and filed for divorce, but they had been fighting all the time. And it was like incessant fighting. And it was really toxic environment for everybody. And in fact, the person leaked that Denise Richards was relieved that the relationship was over, although she felt blindsided and she recognized that Aaron Phypers was going to like go to war against her, and she's sort of preparing. Now, let me just tell you that not only does Aaron Phypers have the horrific lawsuit I told you about earlier, but he has many others. Let me tell you some more. Aaron Phypers also was sued by a company called Adjustment Bureau, Inc. They filed their lawsuit in 2022. They sued him personally and his company Quantum Epigenetics Consulting LLC. He defaulted on a $190,000 business loan taken in November of 2019. There was an additional $11,000 in interest, totaling $201,000. And then with debts and penalties and everything else that goes along with not paying back a loan, it ended up being around $252,151. Now, this company went after Denise Richards to pay off this debt, but she did not PG this credit loan that he took. And so a judge with Aaron saying, Denise shouldn't have to pay it, did not garnish Denise Richards' wages. And so they went back and started to try to get it from him. But as he did in his divorce filing, he always says he has no money and that something bad happened and caused the problem, which is why he can't pay back the money. In this case, although we know that his company was still functioning all the way to 2024, he said the COVID-19 pandemic had impacted his business negatively, and that was the reason that he couldn't pay back this loan. But in order for them not to destroy his world, he went ahead and paid $10,000 a month starting in October of 2023. And then he paid 4 months of this and defaulted on the loan again in February of 2024. And they are still trying to collect from him. He's never made any additional payments. Now, believe it or not, Aaron Phypers in almost 10 months hasn't tried to make any income from the moment that he formally shut the doors on his clinic for Quantum 360 Club. Also, the description of his clinic was frequency medicine and stem cell treatments. So nice trying to pretend you don't do stem cell treatments. So Aaron Phypers files for divorce from Denise Richards on July 7, 2025. At Los Angeles Superior Court, the Stanley Mosque Courthouse. His divorce petition cites irreconcilable differences. Aaron lists July 4th, 2025 as the date of their separation. They were married on September 8th, 2018 in Malibu. Okay. Now that's interesting because it means that Denise Richards and him fought the day before 4th of July. Right? So that's kind of wild. Well, let me give you a little insight. 4th of July weekend in Malibu is a huge party weekend. Everybody goes between their houses and drinks. Now, of course, the LA fires in Malibu would have changed some of that climate out there, but some of it would have stayed the same. And if they stayed out there in Malibu, then they could have been drinking a lot. And, that could have fueled this big fight, which then erupted into really bad things being said by both of them and the divorce filing. So all in all, the marriage lasted 6 years and 10 months. And it looks like he never officially adopted Eloise, although Denise Richards said that on her show about the wild things. Aaron Phypers is looking for her to continue to support him, and he would like to have all of his special separate property, including his power tools, both cordless and electric, listed twice for emphasis, and a motorcycle. He also wants an equal division of their shared business assets, whatever that is. He said that his monthly expenses were approximately $105,000, including up to $25,000 in food alone, and he makes zero income. Since he shut his bullshit clinic down, I doubt he made much income with that either. But I mean, he might have hustled some income, but he didn't make it. Now, this is interesting. Aaron Phypers estimated Denise Richards' income as $250,000 per month through her OnlyFans account, television appearance, and brand deals. Now, why is that important? Because all these rumors that she was making up to $1 million a month or some crazy shit in her OnlyFans was absolutely not true. Okay. She is making, based on his inflated amount, and I'll say why it's inflated, because he wants the most amount of spousal support he can get. So it's in his best interest to up the monthly expense number as high as he can get it and up her earnings as high as he can pretend she gets. But anyway, we now know that OnlyFans thing was BS, which I knew it was. But anyway, people like to believe these crazy income stories. Then we also know he doesn't know exactly how much Denise Richards earns, so he doesn't have access to her bank accounts. They've like some sort of separate bank account situation going on. And she's making money in television appearances and brand deals, but no more than $3 million a year, which is still quite a lot of money. But that means he's going to get a nice spousal support. And unless he gets remarried again, that spousal support can continue indefinitely. Now, what's really hard is that in the state of California, if Denise needs to live there, okay, and do her job, if he gets an order against her for spousal support, she really does have to pay it because she can't leave the state of California and run away from it like some dirtbags do, like my ex. But like, she has to be in LA to work. So he will get the money. Meanwhile, she's going to have to pay a ton in legal fees. He has no money to pay lawyers, so he's going to be asking her to pay his legal fees. And if she doesn't give him what he wants, he's going to bleed her dry in legal fees. Now, what other incredible insights can we get out of this? Aaron Phypers got no money from Evolution when they produced the Wild Things reality show they just did. We know for a fact that there was no intention of doing a season 2 of Denise Richards and her Wild Things, just a season 1. So they didn't, I guess, ever think past a first season, and potentially nobody had interest in a second season. Bravo definitely isn't planning on doing one, and Denise didn't want one. So it was like mutual in some way. What's really weird about Aaron is like, other than his association with Nicollette Sheridan and Denise Richards, there's very little known about him. It's like he may have come to LA to go to USC, but I don't think he finished. We don't know what he did there at USC. We don't know of any job he ever had in any public way before Nicollette Sheridan. Obviously, he's with Denise Richards the rest of the time. So like, what did this guy do? Is he from LA? Is he from Canada? There's rumors he might be from Canada. I mean, what do I think? I think he was like a struggling actor who never really worked and then was good looking and in the right place at the right time and ended up with Nicollette Sheridan, and that launched him into meeting some other celebrities, and that ended up landing him Denise Richards, and then she brought him into reality TV and he got some fame. But I don't think he's ever actually made any real money. And I mean, it's just really strange that other than like an acting credit, I think it was Air Emergency 2009 and The Leap 2011, The Curiosity of Penny Parker 2009, I don't think there's been anything else he's landed. It's so bizarre. Like, he has zero income. Evolution paid him nothing for Wild Things. It's like, wow. Anyway, I feel really bad for Denise Richards in a way because I think she's got a really good heart. She does a lot for Eloise, and she, you know, is obsessed with animals, and she's very kid-like in the way she deals with things, and she's obviously done right by her daughters the best she can do, right? And I see her as really busting her ass trying to hustle roles in whatever she can get, and modeling gigs and OnlyFans and, you know, Housewives, and doing things that, like, even for her as an actress would be considered low, you know, and she's humbling herself to make a living. And I respect somebody who can do that. And I really don't respect any person, never mind a man who's capable, who's healthy, who, you know, has no issues whatsoever, has been blessed by God in looks department and everything. That guy that doesn't work and lives off women for 8 or 9 years of his life, it's just like, that guy I can't respect at all. And then to put a burden on Denise where he knows she's struggling for cash, he knows she's got a lot of issues she's dealing with on multiple fronts with her very tumultuous family. It's like, why would he put that on top of her? It doesn't feel like Denise has ever not really supported him. They may fight like cats and dogs all the time, but I mean, he always had a roof over his head. He didn't really have to work that hard. And people put up with his bullshit dreams for years. Like, the least he could do was walk quietly with his tool belt or whatever and go fix some houses up or something. Like, I mean, you know, you can make money out of nothing very easily if you're willing to do the work and humble yourself no matter what it is. Take it from me. But I'll tell you something. Aaron Phypers really showed his true colors on this one. And what are they? He's a shyster. He's a snake oil salesman. He's barely a man. And despite his good looks, he's the ugliest person for not just walking away from this one. After all, There's loads of other women he can target in LA that will love to take care of him. Just keep on walking down PCH, buddy. So Scheana Shay's memoir is coming out on July 22nd, 2025. For the full scoop, join the Dishing Drama Dana Patreon. The link is in this audio description. It's only $6 a month and you'll get the best information and tea about the things you care about. And even the things you don't know you care about. What are you waiting for?